How's it going, guys? Very interesting question posted by Street Router 100 Kenny, saying he's surprised the battery's not in the back. If it was a sedan and it was a race car, the battery would be in the back. Truthfully, a normal common battery like this has to be vented, and you don't want it to vent inside the cab where you're going to be sitting. It's not legal unless you have some kind of wall between you and the battery. Okay? And if anybody's ever seen a battery explode, if it explodes in the right rear corner, I'm done. Okay, if I survive this shrapnel, I'm not going to survive the acid. Okay, I don't like batteries in the car, and I don't like fuel cells unless they're race cars. I see no reason for them other than the fact that unless you want to neaten up the engine compartment and beautify it. Left front is not the ideal place for it. AMC, when they do a V8, they put it over here, and the 6 cylinders over here. In 64, 65, they never had an 8 cylinder for this car, so it's always here. My 68 has a spot here and a spot there, but the nose is also 3.5 inches longer. So the shape of the compartment is shaped for the battery here, but it's not shaped for it over there. The reason they put the battery in the trunk is for weight transfer, and there's 2 things behind that. And this was actually a conversation between me and my son about 3 days ago. He was asking why the right rear quarter panel dips down when these guys are launching the cars, and we got into mega detail. Basically what's happening is this end lifts up, and for every action there's an equal reaction. It takes the rear end and it pulls it up into the wheel well. It's not the car pushing it down, it's the wheel leaving the ground, and the car follows with gravity. Obviously if this goes up, that has to go down, but that's not the reason the right rear goes down. You are taking the rear end and sucking it immediately up into the wheel well, and the car falls. That's why a car always does a burnout in the right rear. The tire is lighter. There's less force on it as you're accelerating because it's being drawn up. How fast you draw it up is how fast the tire breaks free, and that's why cars go sideways. Old school. Coil spring rear, they took an airbag, they put it in the coil spring, they jacked up the right side of the car. So when the car would accelerate, the right side would go like this and the car would level off and go. This car here has leaf springs. Okay, so the battery died. To make this quick, because I don't know how good these batteries are, when I redid the rear springs, I put 1 leaf in this side, 2 leaves in that side. The right side of my car sits higher, so when you're driving behind me, it just looks like my fat ass has the left side leaning down. Okay, but that's not the case. I also have air shocks in the back of this car with individual lines, so I can preload each spring the way I want. Okay, so I can get the back of the car like 3 or 4 inches higher than the left. So when you launch this car, it actually sits level in the ass and both tires dig in just as hard. I leave it about 1 inch higher on the right side, and that seems to work well with the car, at least the way I drive it. And the car goes perfectly straight on a launch and a burnout. Another way to do it, like I said, we got a lot of race cars in my family that we don't talk about. Pro Mod, Super Comp cars. And the way we do it in those cars is just a stabilizer bar, but obviously a little different than the ones you find in a production car. And you could adjust those out, and that's why when you see those cars leave, the tires are like 1/2 inch off the ground and the car's sitting perfectly flat. Okay, because you have to adjust it out so the right rear tire is gripping as hard as the left rear tire. Think of it this way, guys, and whether you agree or don't agree, it's the truth. You see a lot of people, they go to the track and they blow their posi unit. They put a spool in. The spool's just compensating for the fact that the right rear tire is light and not biting. So you're actually jamming it into those clutches and expecting those clutches to hold while the left side tire has traction, the right side doesn't. If you set up your suspension better, both tires are going to bite just as hard, and the posi unit is going to work a lot easier. And that's just the facts. So you can get a car to do a wheel stand with an open rear. It just takes knowledge. suspension knowledge. And that's it. You know. So I'm not saying I got all that knowledge.